Chapter 31 Bone Douluo Surprise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After clearing out of the Star Do forest, Chowda and the others spent the night in a small town before renting a carriage for their return journey the next morning. With Chowda back in the driver's seat, they stopped at an inn along the way, and Chowda borrowed the kitchen to whip up a feast. As they were digging in, they got an unexpected visitor. "Grandpa Bones, what are you doing here?" That it was Bone Douluo, having rushed over in a hurry. His sudden appearance startled Ning Rongrong. Worried sick about Ning Rongrong, Bone Douluo had sped all the way from Heaven Do City, from the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School to Suatua City. There, he learned from other disciples that Ning Rongrong had headed to the Star Do Great Forest. He picked up the trail from Suatua City. Along the way, he connected with a Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect disciple secretly guarding Ning Rongrong, who filled him in on her location. That's how he ended up at this inn tonight. Rongrong. Ning Rongrong was surprised to see Bone Douluo, but Bone Douluo was even more surprised to see Ning Rongrong. She was a total knockout. She'd grown taller, her figure was mature, she had really blossomed into a woman. It had only been a few months, and she changed so much. What had she been eating to change so quickly? Bone Douluo was even more concerned about Ning Rongrong's physical state. The Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect disciples had been hesitant to mention the changes in Ning Rongrong's appearance when they reported back, worried they wouldn't be able to explain it properly, so they had left it out. "Grandpa Bones." Ning Rongrong launched herself into Bone Douluo's arms, acting like a little girl. "Long time no see. I miss you every day," Bone Douluo said, dotingly. "Then why don't you come home? We've been worried sick." Ning Rongrong said softly, "I'm going back, I promise. I'm just training out here. I can't be coddled forever, I need to grow up myself. Isn't this great? You." Bone Douluo couldn't bring himself to scold her, giving her a helpless, loving smile. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing looked on, feeling a pang of envy. Both of them lacked family and longed for that warm affection. They didn't know who Bone Douluo was, just that he was some relative, some elder, of Ning Rongrong's. Chowda, on the other hand, knew that this was a titled Douluo. He guessed that the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School was worried about Ning Rongrong's recent transformation, so Bone Douluo had come to see for himself. "Grandpa Bones, let me introduce you to my friends." Ning Rongrong introduced Chowda and the others to Bone Douluo. "This is Chowda, a soul king. That's Xiao Wu, a soul sect. And that's Zhu Zhuqing, she's a soul master like me. Oh, and Grandpa Bones, guess what? I'm already a level 31 soul master." Surprised, Bone Douluo already knew this from the other disciples, but he still feigned surprise. "Amazing. I'm so proud, our Rongrong is a genius." He held Ning Rongrong's hand, checking her over. He couldn't find anything wrong, but he did notice that her physique had improved quite a bit, which surprised him even more. Ning Rongrong pouted. "Compared to these three, I'm just average." After a pause, she said to Chowda and the others, "Chowda, Xiao Wu, Zhuqing, this is my bone grandfather. He's a titled Douluo. He's family, he loves me so much." Titled Douluo. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing were taken aback. Xiao Wu instinctively tensed, but then she relaxed. If she didn't have her special ability that concealed her identity as a soul beast, Bone Douluo would have already seen right through her. A titled Douluo could easily spot a soul beast disguised as a human before they reached maturity. Thankfully, she was safe, her secret was protected from being discovered. Chowda remained calm. "Since he's Rongrong's family, he's our family too. Senior Bone Douluo, if you're up for it, why don't you join us for dinner?" He hadn't eaten yet, and the food would get cold if they didn't eat soon. Ning Rongrong pulled Bone Douluo to sit down. "Grandpa Bone, you couldn't have timed it better. Chowda made this meal himself. It's totally delicious. You're gonna love it." Xiao Wu grabbed another set of bowls and chopsticks. "Senior Bone Douluo, please, dig in." Only then did Bone Douluo take notice of the spread on the table. There was a ton of fish and seafood dishes, smelling delicious, and he smiled and said, "This looks and smells incredible. I'm happy to join." Grandpa Bone, Try this, and this, and this. Ning Rongrong kept piling food onto Bone Douluo's plate. Bone Douluo happily waved his hand. Okay, my bowl's overflowing. You eat too. Don't hold back just because I'm here. The vibe was good, so they ate for a while, chatting. Grandpa Bones, did you come all this way just to find me? Weren't you worried about me being out here on my own? Ning Rongrong now realized it couldn't have been a coincidence. Bone Douluo didn't mention that another disciple was secretly protecting Ning Rongrong. Yep, we hadn't heard from you in months. Your father and Jian grandfather were going crazy. They couldn't leave, so I had to come myself. I asked around and finally found you. Thank goodness you're alright, that nothing happened. Bone Douluo had confirmed that there was nothing wrong with Ning Rongrong's body, and in fact, she was getting better. Her constitution had improved significantly, which was a good thing. He was still puzzled, though, and couldn't figure out why Ning Rongrong's body had changed. He figured it might have something to do with Xiao De and the others, so he snuck peeks at them during the meal, but he couldn't tell anything from their appearances. Ning Rongrong said sweetly, Grandpa Bones, thank you for coming. You're the best. Don't worry so much about me, I can take care of myself. Now that I know Xiao De and the others, we'll train together and everything will be fine. What family doesn't worry about their child traveling? Bone Douluo said, however, Rongrong has indeed grown up and has good friends, we are very pleased. He looked at Xiao De and the others, thank you for taking care of our Rongrong. Xiao De said, Senior Bone Douluo, we are good friends with Rongrong, we should help each other. Let's experience and grow together. Bone Douluo nodded in satisfaction, you guys look about the same age as Rongrong, can you come out at home? Xiao De responded, Xiao Wu's family and I are gone. We studied and practiced at Lanba Academy in Tiando City before, and our teacher is Dean Lu Erlong. Lanba Academy, Lu Erlong, a disciple of the Blue Lightning Overlord Dragon sect, Bone Douluo knew, but was a little disappointed, originally wanted to draw Xiao De and the others to join the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School, but now that Lu Erlong appeared, it was impossible. Then he asked Zhu Zhuqing, where is this girl? Zhu Zhuqing hesitated for a moment, before speaking, Senior Bone Douluo, I came from the Star Luo Empire and escaped from my home. I don't plan to go back, and I can't go back. Star Luo Empire, surnamed Zhu, could it be? Bone Douluo had a guess, could it be that your martial soul is a ghost civet? Zhu Zhuqing froze for a moment, then nodded. No wonder. Bone Douluo understood, and also understood, I was born in the Star Luo Empire, in the Zhu family, I don't know if it's lucky or not. Zhu Zhuqing was silent. Ning Rongrong didn't let Bone Douluo continue to ask questions. Grandpa Bones, don't ask questions. They are my friends, I don't care what their origins are, as long as we treat each other sincerely. Bone Douluo smiled, okay, I won't ask any more. Anyway, that's pretty much the question. Bone Douluo still invited, you three, if you want to join the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School in the future, the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School welcomes you at any time. Chapter 32 Strength is Respected, 10,000 Years Soul Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 32, Strength Gets Respect. A 10,000-year soul ring. Bone Douluo and Xiao De rolled into Soto City together. Grandpa Bones, ever been to Soto City before? Ning Rongrong asked, her curiosity piqued. After ditching their rental carriage at the city gates, they strolled down the bustling streets of Soto. Yeah, been here, must be ages ago. Doesn't look like much has changed, though, Bone Douluo Gurong said, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. Back in his day, the Soul Master world was a real dog-eat-dog world, fights breaking out left and right, life hanging by a thread. Hey, it's you. A bunch of guys suddenly materialized in front of them, some recognizing Xiao De and the crew. Third uncle, those are them. They jumped me. You gotta get revenge. The guy whined, spitting out a few missing teeth as he spoke. Hold up. They blocked Xiao De and the others. That's him. Xiao De, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Xiao Wu remembered the guy from the wonton stand, the one Chowda punched, sending his teeth flying. "You guys hurt my nephew?" A middle-aged dude stepped up, shooting daggers at Chowda and his friends. "Get down on your knees and beg for forgiveness, or else." Before he could finish his threat, he was sent flying. Bone Douluo had stepped in, booting the middle-aged guy a good distance. "You think you can get away with hitting an earl?" "Guards! Guards!" A squad of guards just happened to be passing by. The guards swarmed Chowda and his group. "You dare to strike the earl? Arrest them all!" Always siding with the big shots, the patrol guards were ready to haul Chowda and his friends down to the station. "Bunch of clowns," Bone Douluo scoffed, unleashing a wave of soul power that sent the guards and the earl's buddies sprawling. "Nobody tells this old man to kneel." Bone Douluo was a force of nature. Anyone messing with Ning Rongrong was in for a world of hurt. "Go get your king. Tell him to come see me, or there'll be hell to pay." With that, he tossed down a token and led Chowda and the others away. "What?" The patrol captain recognized the token, and his knees turned to jelly. "Let me see that." The earl's middle-aged buddy grabbed the token, one look at the token, and he collapsed to the ground in a panic. "We're doomed, we're all doomed." "Third uncle, what is it?" the toothless guy asked. "Get lost. This is all your fault." The middle-aged guy was so ticked off he socked his nephew in the face, sending more teeth and blood flying. He was out cold. The middle-aged guy didn't give a damn. He had bigger fish to fry, namely, saving his own skin. Chowda and his friends continued their stroll, acting like nothing had happened. About an hour later, a legion of guards swarmed the street, clearing a path and scattering bystanders. "Took them long enough. If they hadn't shown up, I was about to march into the palace myself." Bone Douluo was dead serious. The Barak kingdom actually showed up. Xiao Wu blinked, impressed by Bone Douluo's authority. Zhu Zhuqing chimed in, "Forget that Senior Bone Douluo is a title Douluo. The 7-treasure glazed tile school is not to be messed with by the Barak kingdom. That's just how this world works. Might makes right." The king of the Barak kingdom arrived, flanked by a contra for protection. The earl's middle-aged buddy, the one who started it all, tagged along. "Your Majesty Bone Douluo." The king groveled, offering apologies and admitting fault. The earl's middle-aged crony had his leg snapped right then and there, and the toothless guy had his martial soul wrecked. On top of that, they coughed up a boatload of soul coins as compensation, and that was that. The kingdom had to be seething, but what could they do? You gonna go up against a title Douluo and the 7-treasure glazed tile school? They just had to suck it up and swallow their pride, not daring to utter a peep. That's the power of strength. That's what it's like to be weak. Rongrong, head back to the 7-treasure glazed tile school soon. Don't get too carried away. Chowda, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, look after Rongrong for me. After kicking it in Soto City for a few days, Bone Douluo bailed. He couldn't babysit Ning Rongrong in Soto City forever. The 7-treasure glazed tile school needed him. Plus, Ning Rongrong needed to grow on her own. He might spoil her, but he knew when enough was enough. Now, Chowda and his crew were minor celebs among the nobles in Soto City. The king issued a decree, don't mess with them. The nobles even had portraits of Chowda and his friends made, and they made sure to give them a wide berth if they ever saw them. Luckily, Chowda and his friends were still focused on the Great Soul Arena and the inn, living a simple life. Even if some nobles spotted them in the Great Soul Arena, they didn't dare breathe a word. 10 days passed. Ning Rongrong's spirit power reached level 32, Chowda had a breakthrough on that very day, hitting level 53, Dai Mubai, Tang San, and the others were ghosts in Soto City. Yu Xiaogang had packed his bags for Shrek Academy, where he took charge of their courses. They were getting their butts kicked in physical training, which would last for months. Heaven-Do City, 7-treasure glazed tile school. Bone Douluo Gu Rong spilled the tea to Ning Fengzhi and Sword Douluo, recounting the whole Soto City incident. Old Bones, you sure Rongrong's doing okay? Sword Douluo worried about Bone Douluo's inspection of Ning Rongrong. Bone Douluo scoffed. Don't trust me? Go check it out yourself. If I could, I would, Sword Douluo admitted, missing Ning Rongrong. Sadly, he had to stay put. Ning Fengzhi chuckled, not bothered by their usual bickering. It's good, Rongrong's doing fine. Good for her to grow faster, as long as she's healthy. You'll understand why sooner or later. She's made good friends, and that's something to celebrate. She's doing well and growing. Letting her train on her own outside was the right call. She can keep training for now. That Xiao Da and Xiao Wu went to Lamba Academy, so we should check it out. That Zhu Zhuqing's gotta be from the Zhu family. It's not unusual for someone to run from a family that throws emotions out the window for profit. Those three are loaded with talent, right up there with Rongrong. If we can, I'd like them to join the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Ning Fengzhi was plotting. There would be some research to do. Another 10 days went by. In Soto City, Xiao Da's soul power spiked, jumping nearly 2 levels to reach level 55. Qian Renshua got her 7th soul ring. She's a soul saint now. By reaching into the space between them, Xiao Da could sense Qian Renshua's growth. Qian Renshua leveling up gave Xiao Da a boost across the board, especially with soul power. A 10,000-year soul ring. Xiao Da was pumped to see that one of his soul rings had turned red. It was the soul ring from Qian Renshua. With Qian Renshua getting her 7th soul ring, the total age of her 7 soul rings topped 10,000 years, turning Xiao Da's soul ring red. Lu Erlong had 7 soul rings too, but she came up a little short of Qian Renshua. The total age of her 7 soul rings came in at over 9,000 years, but didn't crack 10,000. End of this chapter. Chapter 33 Changes of Islands in Space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dude, a red soul ring? Did Qian Renshua just hit Soul Sage? The only ones in the room were Xiao Da and Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu knew that Xiao Da's spatial ability had trapped those people. She also knew that Xiao Da's soul rings came from the people he bound, each one representing the combined power of all their soul rings. Lu Erlong had provided the most power so far, but she was still a ways off from reaching Contra, so it was a pretty safe bet that Qian Renshua had leveled up. Xiao Da nodded. Qian Renshua got her 7th soul ring, and the combined age of all 7 is over 10,000 years. She was born with full spirit power at level 20, and her talent, spirit, and body are better than Erlong. It's no surprise her soul rings are better. Xiao Wu got it, and giggled. So, are you planning to collect all the talented girls in Douluo Continent? Planning on marrying them all? Maybe, Xiao Da teased. You're such a player. Xiao Wu pouted, feeling a twinge of jealousy. She knew that after being trapped by Xiao Da's space, she was stuck with him. Xiao Da wouldn't let any other man get close to a woman he'd bound, so, ultimately, they would all end up with Xiao Da, in one way or another. But with so many women bound to him, she couldn't guarantee that some of them wouldn't get closer to Xiao Da. Xiao Wu couldn't prevent it, and she couldn't leave Xiao Da, so she had to deal with it. Luckily, Xiao Da had always treated her well. She could only hope for the best. Xiao Da, oblivious to Xiao Wu's thoughts, suddenly looked surprised. Xiao Wu, the space in my spirit has changed. Come on, let's check it out. Before she could even answer, Xiao Da pulled her into the captured space. The captured space was still an island surrounded by an endless ocean, but the island itself had changed. Wow, did the island get bigger? And it's totally different. There's a big house, trees, and a pond. They landed on the highest point of the island, where they could see everything. The island used to be no more than 30 feet across, but now it was 300 feet. In the center was a pond, more like a small, crystal-clear lake with some grass around it. On one side was a small villa. It faced the small lake, with the sea behind it, and a fishing platform to the side. There were fruit trees scattered around, some already bearing fruit. There were other plants, too, also bearing fruit. The whole island was beautiful now. What a view! It's like paradise. Let's go check out the villa. Xiao Wu was thrilled and dragged Xiao Da toward the villa, following a bluestone path. The sudden changes to the captured space were probably connected to his soul ring hitting 10,000 years, but he wasn't sure. It was just a guess. The front gate of the villa was closed, but it swung open as they approached. The door opened by itself. That's awesome. Xiao Wu stared at the gate. Once they were inside, the gate closed again. Xiao Wu ran back and forth, making the gate open and close. doing it over and over again, never getting tired of it. The gate was substantial, elegant, and impressive. On either side stood lifelike stone lions, powerful and imposing. "Open sesame," Xiao Wu, playing around, shouted at the door. She'd picked that up from Chowda. The door opened, not because of open sesame, but because Xiao Wu had approached it. It was like a smart door, with some kind of recognition system. The villa had 3 floors. The first floor mainly consisted of a hall, several rooms, and a kitchen. There were sofas, tables, chairs, carpets, tea sets, and all sorts of furnishings, none of which looked ordinary. The inside of the villa was circular. There were 10 bedrooms on the second floor, each with its own bathroom and fully furnished. "Is this my room?" "There's a cute stuffed rabbit." Of the 10 rooms, 6 had patterns on their doors. Xiao Wu's soft bone rabbit room also had patterns of ghostly civet cats, Qibao glazed pagodas, seraphs, fire dragons, and space patterns. Moreover, only the right person could open the corresponding room, except for Chowda, so Xiao Wu couldn't open anyone else's room, and they couldn't open hers, unless Chowda let them. "That's so cool," Xiao Wu thought it was fascinating. "Wow! This is totally my style." She loved the decor in her room, as well as the furniture and the layout. Each room was decorated and furnished differently, tailored to the individual's inner preferences. Xiao Wu's room was pink, Ning Rongrong's was blue, and Zhu Zhuqing's was actually red. Maybe red would turn black. Xian Renshue's room was mostly white, while Lu Erlong's was mainly green. Erlong really loves green. Rongrong loves blue. Xian Renshue's angel martial soul, white. Zhu Qing is a surprise. So, she likes red. Then why does she always wear black? Zhu Zhuqing's room color was the most unexpected. "Hey, why is your room so flashy? Just like a player. You're such a hound," Xiao Wu complained, then flopped onto Chowda's bed. "Wow, this bed is so soft. Come on, try it." Xiao Wu had found something else that was interesting. The bed was soft and springy. There was no such bed in the world of Douluo Continent, but Chowda had seen similar beds everywhere back on Earth. He started paying more attention to the things in the room. The layout was similar to his room back on Earth, and he was momentarily lost in the past. "Hey, you okay?" Xiao Wu brought Chowda back to reality. Chowda shook his head. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking about something. Don't space out on me." Xiao Wu pulled Chow onto the bed. "Feel it. Isn't it soft and comfortable? Am I going to get to sleep on this bed every night from now on?" That they couldn't wait. "If you want." Chowda smiled. "Ah, comfortable, soft, bouncy." Xiao Wu lay on her back, just enjoying it. Chowda turned sideways and looked at her, resting his head on his hand. She was beautiful, and he wanted to kiss her. "What are you looking at?" After a while, Xiao Wu turned around and saw Chowda. Chowda didn't say anything. He just pulled her close and kissed her. A few minutes later. "We should let Rongrong and Zhu Qing see this. They'd be stoked," Xiao Wu said, still in Chowda's arms. Later that day, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Qing came in. They were even more surprised and thrilled than Xiao Wu had been. End of this chapter. Chapter 34 Waves, Beaches, and... You are listening at novelfull.audio. TSK, Zhu Qing, so red's your color, huh? Cold on the outside, but fiery inside. Totally you. Ning Rongrong's jaw dropped when she saw Zhu Zhuqing's room. Zhu Zhuqing didn't react, neither confirming nor denying. She just really liked the room. She turned to Chowda. "Can I live here from now on?" Chowda smiled. "Consider it your home. Stay as long as you want." Xiao Wu chimed in. "Rongrong, Zhu Qing, there's a kitchen here with a working stove and all the ingredients you could want, so we can cook. And a living room. We could totally live here. I've decided I'm staying for a while and having a blast. You guys too." Ning Rongrong and Zhu Qing were definitely on board. It felt new, warm, and like a total paradise. There were even toilets with some kind of system for getting rid of wastewater and garbage. They didn't know how it worked, but Xiao and the others didn't seem worried, plus, there was electricity and all sorts of appliances. The villa even had cell phones and computers, which was amazing. The only downside was no internet. They could only play games and listen to music on their own. The third floor had a game room, a music room, a gym, a library. The roof was an open-air balcony with all sorts of plants and flowers blooming. Here's a cell phone. I'll show you how to use it. Xiao pulled out a few smartphones and started giving them a lesson. They marveled at how quickly Xiao picked it up even without a manual. Was he some kind of genius? Or maybe, since this was his own martial soul space, it just made sense that new stuff appeared to him. A cell phone. It's got pictures inside. How cool. And it lights up. Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong were fascinated and eager to learn, so they all gathered around Xiao. Xiao started by teaching them how to take pictures and do some basic stuff. Even just taking pictures blew their minds. They couldn't put the phones down, snapping pics of everything and never getting tired of it. They spent half the day just playing with the phones, mostly taking pictures. Pictures of each other, selfies, comparing photos, exploring all the different settings. Xiao ducked out for a bit and came back with a bunch of ingredients, spices, and other things from his storage soul guide. Then he started making lunch. They were still snapping pictures while they ate, even taking pictures of their food. It was like they were eating just to take pictures of it. They kept the photo shoots going all afternoon. Xiao left the villa to check out all the plants growing over the wall. He didn't even recognize half of them. But he could just scan them with his phone. The phone would display the plant's name, what kind of flowers it bloomed, what kind of fruit it bore, whether it was edible, how it tasted, and what nutrients or benefits it had. Whoa! Apparently, all the plants on this island bear fruit, and all the fruits are edible. They've all got this spiritual energy, and their effects are similar to the fish and seafood you can catch. That was the result after scanning all the plants on the island. Even if the effects were the same as fish and seafood, the taste and nutrition were different, so it was still a big win. Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong eventually left the villa too, and immediately started taking pictures of all the plants on the island. The photo frenzy had officially begun. At night, they started taking pictures of the night scenes. The three of them crashed in Zhu Zhuqing's room, stayed up all night, and finally passed out not long after dawn. Xiao didn't get up until noon, when he rousted them out for food. No more staying up late. You'll get wrinkles, Xiao warned. We're not going to get wrinkles. They retorted, unfazed. After lunch, Xiao showed them how to use the computer, and then helped them upload all their pictures to their respective computers. The picture-taking obsession finally started to fade, but then they got hooked on music. Even though the music was from another time and place, they could still understand it and it moved them. Xiao took them to the beach, where they lay under a sun umbrella, listening to music, soaking up the sun, and eating fruit. Life was good, but Xiao couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Then it hit him, this was the beach. They were wearing long skirts and trousers. That wouldn't do. Xiao Wu, come back to the villa with me. What's up, bro? You'll see. Mysterious. Xiao knew there were all kinds of beach clothes in the clothing room on the third floor of the villa, for both men and women, though the women's section was way bigger and had all sorts of styles. With Xiao's help, Xiao Wu tried on a bunch of outfits and finally settled on the one that Xiao thought looked best. You want me to go outside dressed like this? Xiao Wu was a little self-conscious. Xiao said, that's how you wear it. This is beachwear. It's what you're supposed to wear when you're hanging out on the beach. You'll understand when you put it on and feel it. Xiao Wu figured, since there was no one else around, she might as well go with it. Whoa! Xiao Wu, why aren't you wearing any clothes? Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were shocked. Xiao explained, it's beachwear. This is how you're supposed to dress when you're at the beach. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing gave Xiao a weird look. Xiao Wu felt awkward at first, but she gradually got used to it and then realized how practical it was, especially swimming in the sea and playing on the beach. It was just so much easier, and it felt great. Xiao Wu had to share the experience with Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, and after some convincing, the two of them hesitantly put on some beach clothes too hot. Chowda was secretly thrilled and enjoying the view. The beachwear he picked out was actually pretty tame. He didn't want to go too over the top and scare them off, so he figured they'd get used to it gradually. It's actually really comfortable. It feels pretty good once you get used to it. Chowda's getting a free show, that once they got comfortable, they started to embrace the feeling of beachwear, since they felt a bond with Chowda because of the captive space, and since there was no one else around, they let Chowda enjoy the view. They swam together, had water fights, buried each other in the sand, lay out in the sun, listened to music and ate fruit together. They were having a blast. For 10 days straight, they didn't train. They just played and went wild. Chowda became closer to them, helping them apply sunscreen and massaging their hands and feet. Alright, enough playing around. Time to train. But we can still have fun while we train. Chowda reminded them to get back to work. They played in the morning, trained from the afternoon until early morning, and then crashed. They kept this routine up for more than 2 months. They'd occasionally show their faces at the inn so people knew they were still around. It was a really happy and fulfilling time. Their soul power had improved. Chowda was at level 56, Xiao Wu was at level 45, Zhu Zhuqing was at level 35, and Ning Rongrong was at level 34. Chowda was leveling up the fastest because Lu Erlong, Qian Renxue, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong were all giving him a boost. Today, they were leaving the captive space. They'd been holed up here for more than 2 months, and they needed a change of scenery. They couldn't completely cut themselves off from the world. They needed to go out and train. After they left, they went on a shopping spree, and then hit up the Great Soul Arena to participate in some soul battles and quickly got back in the groove. So beautiful. Gorgeous. Wow, goddesses. Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong had all matured now. They were curvy, beautiful, and each had their own unique charm. Plus, with the gorgeous clothes and makeup they'd gotten from the captive space, they were seriously stunning, and heads turned 100% of the time, especially when they smiled. They were totally captivating. They had the beauty dialed up to 11. They weren't hiding their beauty, and they didn't care what strangers thought or said, which, unfortunately, made Chowda a target of a lot of jealousy. Hey, buddy, stay away from my goddess. Beat it, kid. They're mine. Chowda ended up beating up a few guys who got too obsessed and tried to cause trouble. The nobles in Soto City pretty much knew them by now and gave them a wide berth. For the time being, Chowda and the others were left alone. What beautiful girls. Gotta go say hi. A few days later, Chowda and the others ran into Yu Tianheng, Du Guyan, Yi Lingling, Shimo, Shi, and the rest of the Huangdo team at the Great Soul Arena in Soto City. End of this chapter. Chapter 35 Challenge the Soul Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey there, ladies. I'm Shimo, from Tiando Royal Academy. Shimo, captivated by the beauty of Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong, couldn't resist trying to start a conversation. Tiando Royal Academy? Big deal, Ning Rongrong said, unimpressed. The Heaven Do Empire was practically bankrolled by her 7 treasure glazed tile sect. A Soul Master Academy founded by the royal family wasn't exactly awe-inspiring. Shimo was taken aback, his face falling. Usually, people were impressed, even envious, when they heard Tiando Royal Academy. Ning Rongrong's reaction was dismissive. He pressed on. You have heard of Tiando Royal Academy, right? You must be soul masters yourselves. Ning Rongrong shrugged. Yeah, I know it. It's just some soul master school. Nothing special. Shimo insisted, it's the Tiando Royal Academy, the best advanced soul master academy in the entire Tiando Empire. I'm a genius student there. Genius? Ning Rongrong smirked, then glanced at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu got the message immediately. She released her soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple, and said to Shimo, okay, we can get acquainted. But first, you gotta win a fight. If you do, then maybe we'll talk. Otherwise, leave us alone. Just then, Yu Tianheng, Du Guyan, Yi Lingling, Shi Mo's twin brother Mo Shi, Oslo, Yu Feng, and the rest of their crew strolled over. Shi Mo, are these girls giving you trouble? Oslo asked, seeing Xiao Wu's soul rings and assuming the worst. Yu Feng, his eyes glued to Xiao Wu and her friends, gasped, wow, those are some gorgeous girls. That Yi Lingling and Du Guyan shot him a look, and Yu Feng quickly clammed up. No, Shi Mo stammered. I was just trying to introduce myself, that's all. With his friends watching, he lost his nerve. Mo Shi, knowing his twin brother's habits, scoffed, ugh. Here you go again, trying to pick up chicks. Can you give it a rest? You're embarrassing me. Mind your business. Shi Mo hissed back. Du Guyan stepped forward and challenged Xiao Wu. So, you just want to get to know him, so you want to fight? Is being a four-ring soul sect really such a big deal? Xiao Wu frowned, instantly annoyed. Don't jump to conclusions. And yeah, my four-ring soul sect is probably better than you. If you've got a problem with that, let's settle it. Fine by me. Du Guyan shot back, then, a voice cut through the tension. What's going on here? Qin Ming, leader of the Huangdou team, appeared. Who told you to cause a scene? Get registered, pronto. We're here for the spirit fights. So, you're here for the spirit fights too, huh? Maybe we'll cross paths. We'll see who's tougher then. Du Guyan threw over her shoulder as she and Yu Tianheng walked off. Zhu Zhuqing went to Xiao Wu's side. They're just spoiled kids from rich families. Don't let them get to you. Ning Rongrong added, they're probably all students from Tiandou Royal Academy. It's a school for snobs. They all think they're hot stuff, but honestly, there aren't that many real talents. Ning Rongrong, to be fair, had a bit of an attitude problem herself, but spending time with Chao De and the others had been slowly mellowing her out. Arrogance without strength is just a joke, Chao De said, taking Xiao Wu's hand. Don't waste your energy being angry. Let's go register for today's fights. We might just get a chance to shut them up where it counts. Xiao Wu nodded. If they face us, they'll definitely learn their lesson. The three headed off to register. In Xiao Wu's individual fight, she didn't run into anyone from the Huangdou team. Neither did Zhu Zhuqing. And the duo of Xiao Wu and Chao De didn't face them either. Now, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zhuqing were about to watch Chao De's individual spirit fight. His opponent wasn't from the Emperor fighting team, but he was a Soul Emperor, a Soul King challenging a Soul Emperor. The match drew a crowd. Qin Ming, intrigued, brought the Huangdou team to watch. It's them. Du Guyan pointed at Xiao Wu and her friends. Small world, huh? Mo Shi and Yu Feng secretly grinned. You're here to watch the fight. No trouble, Qin Ming warned, noticing their stares and spotting Xiao Wu. As they walked past, Xiao Wu and her friends caught sight of them. What a coincidence, Xiao Wu mumbled. If it weren't for my brother's match, I'd be leaving now. I don't want to stand next to them. Just be patient. It'll be over soon. Xiao Wu and the others pretended Du Guyan and her crew didn't exist. Behind them, Qin Ming focused on the fight itself. Level 56 Soul King challenging a level 68 Soul Emperor. That's rare. Let's see what's so special about this Soul King. Maybe he has a surprise for us. This kind of disparity was unusual in the Great Spirit Arena. Oslo was skeptical. That's a 12-level difference in soul power, a whole realm. And the Soul Emperor is a combat type. He has no chance, right? Is there some special reason why this match is happening? Yu Feng caught his drift. Fixed. Are they rigging the fight for bets? Shi Mo chimed in. It's possible. In the spirit fights, even the staged ones, injuries happen. On the spirit fighting arena, the two participants entered. Please welcome the competitors. In this match, both are silver fighting soul badge holders. The level 56 Soul King, Chao De, has requested to challenge a Soul Emperor, which is a rare event. Faced with a combat-type Soul Emperor with a soul power 12 levels higher, can this challenger possibly win? We can see now that Zhu Tao, the level 68 combat Soul Emperor, has entered the arena. And here comes Xiao De, the level 56 Soul King who issued the challenge. The referee's voice rose, playing to the crowd's excitement. That's him, Sure Mo and the others recognized Xiao De. Wasn't he the guy with Xiao Wu and her friends? Mo sure still envied Xiao De for being around those three goddesses. If he were in his shoes, he would be so happy. Yu Tianheng turned to Qin Ming. Teacher, this Xiao De looks really young, about our age. And he's already a Soul King. Qin Ming shook his head. He's probably older than you, but he's still a prodigy. He couldn't believe someone Yu Tianheng's age would reach Soul King unless they were super geniuses nurtured by the Spirit Hall. Yu Tianheng nodded, agreeing. Otherwise, the big gap between them would make him uncomfortable, Du Guyan asked, a space martial soul. Teacher, have you ever heard of it? She was curious about Xiao De's martial spirit. No, Qin Ming admitted. While most martial spirits are animal or weapon types, there are other special ones, like food spirits. A space spirit must be extremely rare. Maybe that's why he dared to challenge a Soul Emperor, because his martial soul is exceptionally powerful. Watch closely. See what makes this space spirit so special. End of this chapter. Chapter 36 Exploding Soul Ring, really cool. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the battle stage of the Great Soul Arena, Zhu Tao, a level 68 Soul Emperor, looked surprisingly fit for his age, somewhere in his 50s or 60s, he only occasionally participated in matches at the Great Soul Arena. He hadn't expected a Soul King to challenge him today. Kid, I've never heard of a space martial soul. What makes you think you can take on a Soul Emperor who's 12 levels above you? Zhu Tao couldn't understand Xiao De's motivation, sensing a decent quality in the challenger. Xiao De replied, my martial soul is pretty unique. I don't have any competition at the Soul King level, so I thought I'd test the waters with a Soul Emperor. Interesting, Zhu Tao mused. Guess I can't let my guard down. It'd be embarrassing to get taken down. Xiao De, I'll remember that name. Let's see what this space martial soul of yours can do. With that, he summoned his black bear martial soul, a formidable beast, and revealed his soul rings, white, yellow, purple, black, and black. While not the ideal configuration, the other rings hinted at a good martial soul and innate talent. Perhaps a peculiar situation led to the initial 10-year white ring. He eyed Xiao De, noticing he hadn't summoned his own spirit or rings. Aren't you going to show your spirit and spirit ring? Is he disrespecting me, the old geezer? Don't worry, I'm easy to talk to, Star. Space martial soul isn't something you can just see. You can't see it, you can't touch it, that's its nature. Xiao De explained. I see, Zhu Tao acknowledged. And the soul rings? Too amazing to show off, Xiao De smiled. Maybe a little. Zhu Tao frowned, then relaxed. Young man, don't be so cautious. You need drive, not fear. What can you achieve if you're always holding back? Even if you're a genius, sure, some might try to harm you, but more will want to protect you. Being sharp isn't always a bad thing. Xiao De was taken aback. He's deliberately giving me advice. That while surprised, Xiao De realized the truth in his words. I have the capture space to protect myself, my soul skills are powerful, and I am not afraid to reveal my soul ring, so why didn't he dare to make it public? Yup. I have something I dare not disclose. There is indeed some difficulty in hiding. Thank you, sir. The realization cleared Xiao De's mind, and his aura shifted. Then let me show you my soul rings. I'm waiting, Zhu Tao replied eagerly. Xiao De unleashed his first soul ring, the black soul ring, courtesy of Xiao Wu. The first soul ring is a 10,000-year ring. Zhu Tao's eyes nearly popped out of his head. The audience reacted similarly. The referee, familiar with Xiao De, exclaimed, "Oh my god, this is the first time I've seen Chowda's rings, and the first one is 10,000 years. Qin Ming jumped to his feet, his face incredulous. How is this possible? Many other soul masters shared his reaction. The viewing platform erupted in chaos. Brother, are you done hiding? Xiao Wu asked with a smile. No wonder he was keeping it secret. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, unaware of the exact specifics, believed Chowda's 10,000-year ring was his fifth, but the real surprise was just beginning. Chowda continued to reveal his soul rings. The second ring, another black ring, came from Lu Erlong, over 9,000 years old. The second soul ring is 10,000 years. Is he even human? Oh my god! Am I dreaming? Then came the third, a crimson 10-year ring from Qian Renshue. A red soul ring. The entire Great Soul Arena exploded. Everyone was speechless. Zhu Tao struggled to breathe, regretting his advice to Chowda. Are you kidding me? A red third ring? 10-year? It has to be fake. Is he even human? This news will rock the entire Douluo Continent. Holy crap. Someone pinch me, I must be dreaming. Qin Ming and the others were at a loss for words. How did he do that? Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing looked at Xiao Wu in disbelief. Xiao Wu only smiled, keeping Chowda's secrets to herself. The fourth ring appeared, unexpectedly, purple. And the fifth? Also purple. What? I thought the fourth and fifth would be 10-year rings too. This combination makes no sense. They can't be 1,000-year spirit ring, at least a 10,000-year spirit ring. Confused, everyone deemed the two purple rings highly suspicious, convinced there was a secret behind them. Some had already left to spread the word about Chowda. Figures, he hangs around with the title Douluo from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. He's a monster. A few nobles from Suatua City were present. They recognized Chowda and, remembering Bone Douluo and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, had avoided him. Learning of Chowda's current power, they dared not utter a word. Best not to get involved. How could he do this? Du Guyen exclaimed, refusing to believe it. No soul master can handle 10,000-year rings as their first, second, and third. I don't want to believe it either. Oslo said. But it's right in front of us. What choice do we have? Shiremo nodded. He's a freak. Yu Tianheng turned to Qin Ming. Teacher, does it have something to do with Chowda's space spirit? Qin Ming had reached the same conclusion. It must. Otherwise, I can't explain it. Space Martial Soul. I've never even heard of it. But starting today, it'll be the talk of the Douluo Continent, that this Chowda would turn the Soul Master world upside down. Numerous factions would undoubtedly try to recruit him. Of course, it could also bring disaster. He shouldn't have revealed his power. He was deliberately hiding it. Why reveal it now? Does he have some backup? It'd be best if that freak just disappeared. Many didn't want someone like Chowda to exist. Back on the arena, Chowda broke Zhu Tao's reverie. So, are you still up for a match? Zhu Tao swallowed hard. How could I win against that? Impossible, but he was still curious about Chowda's skills. I definitely can't beat you. But I'd like to see what your skills are. Chowda was disappointed. He'd hoped to gauge the difference between himself and a soul emperor. But Zhu Tao's current state wouldn't allow for that. Fine. I'll give you a taste. Chowda instantly activated his second skill, Space Jump. Zhu Tao vanished from the arena, reappearing in the blink of an eye at the edge of the viewing platform. What? Zhu Tao was bewildered. Is this the Space Martial Soul skill? It's too strong. An instant teleport. How could anyone fight that? Where did Zhu Tao go? There's Zhu Tao. Why is he over there behind the viewing platform? Is it some kind of teleportation skill? Teleportation? At that range? Could it be Chowda's skill? He has a space martial soul, so it must be a space skill. Instant transfer. Chowda's gone too. He was just there. Duguian noticed Xiao Wu and the others were also missing. Chowda had left, pulling Xiao Wu and the others into the capture space before using space jump to escape Suatua City's Great Soul Arena. Ugh. Star. Looks like I can't come back to the Great Soul Arena, and I probably can't stay in Suatua City either. Star. Showing off the soul rings was cool, but it's also a pain. Star. The head of the Suatua City Spirit Hall branch hurried to the arena, hoping to invite Chowda to join, only to find he was too late. Chapter 37 The Shock of Yu Xiaogang, Tang San and Others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, so maybe Chowda is from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Was Douluo from that school in Soto City before? After getting all the details about Chowda, the head honcho at the Spirit Hall branch in Soto City got a surprise. Yeah, Bishop. That girl Ning roam with Chowda. 7 Treasures Glazed Tile Pagoda Spirit. Probably the daughter of the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect Master. That's what the messenger said. The bishop thought to himself, Ning roam, 7 Treasures Glazed Tile Pagoda, last name Ning, and the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect Master has a daughter, plus Douluo showed up. Yep, checks out. He continued, so, he's hanging with the Sect Master's daughter, and Douluo's protecting them? Chowda has to be one of theirs, right? Too bad, he muttered, Chowda, such a talented prodigy. If the Spirit Hall can't recruit him, they'll have to take him out. Especially if he's tied to the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile School. Can't let him get stronger. The bishop wrote up a report and sent it straight to the Pope's palace in Spirit Hall City. He also ordered his people in Soto City to find Chowda and his crew, and to see if Douluo was still around. If they got the chance, taking out Chowda and his friends wouldn't be out of the question, outside the Soto City Great Spirit Arena. Why is the Spirit Arena so packed today? Yu Xiaogang, Flender, and Zhao Wuji brought Dai Mubai, Oscar, Tang San, and Ma Hongjun to the Great Spirit Arena, ready to rumble. They'd been coming almost every day, but took a few days off. You haven't heard? Someone nearby piped up. Hey there, buddy. What's the buzz? Can we still fight today? Flender asked. The guy was stoked to spill the tea. Listen to this. Everyone's here to see a freak of nature. Oscar was curious. A freak? That seems like the Shrek Academy students were always calling themselves freaks. Could there actually be a real monster? The guy grinned. Totally a freak. You ain't gonna believe this, his first spirit ring. Solid black, 10,000 years. No way. Yu Xiaogang shot back. Impossible. No soul master could handle a 10,000-year spirit ring that early. They only hit a few hundred years, tops, unless it was a second martial soul with twin spirits. Yu Xiaogang didn't say that part. He didn't believe this guy was talking about twin spirits. I know. Everyone says the same thing. But I saw him release his martial spirit in the arena with my own eyes. The guy insisted. Everyone was floored. And get this, his second spirit ring was also a black 10,000-year one. And the craziest part? His third ring was red, a 10-year spirit ring. 10-year rings. Never seen anything like it. What? Not only the second ring, but the third one too. No freaking way. Yu Xiaogang and the others were speechless. This broke Yu Xiaogang's theories. Even if you got a ring from a second spirit, it shouldn't hit 10,000 years for the third ring, right? Hey, I know it's wild, but it's true. The guy said proudly. Guess what his fourth and fifth spirit rings are? Ma Hongjun chimed in. Don't tell me they're all 10-year rings. That's just ridiculous. I wouldn't believe it even if I saw it. Heh, knew you'd say that, the guy said, all smiles. Wrong. His fourth and fifth rings are just purple, regular old 1,000-year spirit rings. How about that? Surprised? Seeing Tang San's jaw drop, the guy was living his best life. Word for word, 100% true. Take it or leave it. He bounced off, probably looking for some fresh ears to bend. He was digging the reactions. Think it's true? Oscar asked, looking around. Where there's smoke, there's fire. We can ask around outside, Flender said. Dean Flender. Suddenly, Qin Ming was there. Dean Flender, Mr. Xiao Wu Qi. It really is you. Thought I was seeing things. Qin Ming was solo. Yu Tianheng and the others weren't with him. You're Qin Ming. Xiao Wuji said, recognizing him. Qin Ming, it's you. Flender beamed. Almost 10 years. Didn't think I'd see you again. Qin Ming gave them the props. Dean, Mr. Zhao, it's been a minute. You haven't changed a bit. Ma Hongjun leaned in, checking Qin Ming out. Dean, is this one of our alumni? Flender did the intros. Xiao Gang, and you guys, this is Qin Ming. He's a Shrek Academy grad, went on to bigger things. He's one of Shrek's best. Qin Ming, meet my buddy, you can call him master. And these are your juniors, Dai Mubai, Oscar, Tang San, Ma Hongjun. Just like you, total prodigies. Qin Ming gave a nod. Xiao Wuji asked, Qin Ming, what's your spirit power at these days? Still grinding after graduation. Qin Ming puffed up a bit. Dean, Mr. Zhao, I'm a Soul Emperor now. Hope I'm making you proud. Flender roared with laughter. Ha! Awesome! Soul Emperor before 30. You're making Shrek Academy look good. In no time, you'll be leaving us old guys in the dust. Under 30, Soul Emperor. Yu Xiaogang and the others were impressed. Qin Ming was legit, not many people could do that at that age. Senior Qin Ming, you're a beast. Ma Hongjun said enviously. If I could hit Soul Emperor before 30, I'd be set. Oscar chimed in, just like a Shrek Academy alumni. You're our inspiration. Qin Ming played it humble. I'm sure you juniors will do even better. So, Dean, you here for the soul fighting at the Spirit Arena? Flender nodded. Yep. You too. Hear about what's been going on? Qin Ming nodded. Oh yeah. I saw it. Still can't believe it. This kid Chowda has a space spirit. Never heard of it. And those rings, wild. First and second rings are 10,000 years. Third ring's a 10-year. Fourth and fifth are purple. So it was true, and that name. Tang San, Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar knew it well. Ma Hongjun looked like he'd seen a ghost. No way, it's him. Oscar was stunned. Seriously, Dai Mubai understood now. That's why he never showed his rings. He's a real monster. Tang San clenched his fists. The gap between him and Chowda kept growing. But his determination to win Xiao Wu's heart. Unwavering. You guys know him? Yu Xiaogang asked Tang San and the others. Tang San said, yeah. And laid out the basics. Everyone was quiet for a long moment. Space Marshal Soul. So special, huh? Yu Xiaogang wondered. He'd already crossed out the twin spirit possibility, so this space spirit was the only thing that made sense. He was curious. Wanted to study it, Qin Ming said. Chowda and his buddies took off before the end of the fights. His soul skills can teleport over long distances, and he can take others with him. I bet people are looking for him right now. No idea where he's going. After the Chowda talk, Qin Ming mentioned he was teaching at Heaven-Do Royal Academy and invited Shrek Academy to join up. Eventually, Flender and the crew agreed. The training and resources were a plus, sure, but Yu Xiaogang wanted Tang San and the others to compete in the Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite competition. Shrek Academy didn't have the clout, or the people, to join that. Heaven-Do Royal Academy was a solid choice. Meanwhile, Chowda, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zhuqing had already skipped town. Chapter 38 The Martial Soul Mutated Rabbit Girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An inn along the main road. We'll be in Silves City tomorrow. Let's stay here for the night and head out in the morning, Chowda said, glancing at the darkening sky. They'd been traveling north from Soto City, heading towards Tiando City, but taking their time to explore the region. Before leaving Tiando City, they had gone straight to Soto City, missing Silves City entirely. The Silves Kingdom was one of the 4 kingdoms allied with the Heaven Do Empire, and Silves City was its capital. Silves City is supposed to be even bigger than Soto City. I wonder if there's anything cool there, Ning Rongrong mused, never having been there herself. It's a kingdom's capital, Zhu Zhuqing pointed out, so it's gotta be decent. It'll be fun to check it out. I still want to see the whole Douluo Continent, Xiao Wu chimed in. I definitely want to visit the Star Luo Empire someday. We'll help you get revenge on anyone who ever messed with you, Zhuqing. Ning Rongrong nodded in agreement. Our Zhuqing is so beautiful and sweet. Anyone who bullies her is just scum. Zhu Zhuqing smiled faintly. Thanks. We're family, Chowda said. No need for formalities. We share the good times and the bad, family, Star, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but overthink that statement, while Xiao Wu just rolled her eyes at Chowda. They were eating dinner in the inn's common room. Coming through, a group of people walked in. 7 men entered, 4 of them carrying large wooden crates. They were armed, too. Chowda sensed they were all soul masters, which was strange since soul masters rarely carried weapons. His mental power was stronger than Tang San's now, surpassing even that of some Contras. At his level, he could use it for telepathy and scouting. Curious, Chowda probed the wooden crates and was shocked to find they weren't filled with objects, but with 2 living women. Kidnapping. Focusing, he noticed something bizarre. Both women had awakened their martial souls, but their soul power was incredibly low, below level 10. More importantly, they both possessed unusual features. One had rabbit ears, the other a rabbit tail. When they awakened their martial souls, their bodies had changed, developing characteristics tied to them. It happened sometimes. Some mutations were ugly, others appealing. Chowda remembered that the original story touched on auctions featuring women with these kinds of mutations, catering to the tastes of certain wealthy individuals. The women in the crates seemed to have mutated attractively, suggesting they were being sold for a high price. These 7 guys were likely human traffickers. The weapons served as a disguise and possibly compensated for their lower soul power. Chowda mentally reached out to Xiao Wu and the others, explaining the situation. Their eyes narrowed, fixed on the 7 men. Hold on. Let me handle this, Chowda cautioned, seeing their anger. He had a better plan. Activating his soul skill, space jump, he made the 2 wooden crates beside the men vanish into thin air. What the? Everyone nearby was startled. Where'd the crates go? They just disappeared. Is this place haunted? Let's get out of here. Something's not right. Some patrons, spooked, bolted for the exits. Who did that? The 7 men weren't idiots. Being soul masters, they figured some kind of soul skill was responsible. They glared at everyone in the common room, issuing threats. Xiao Wu stood up, bristling. I did it. So what? You kidnapped my friends, and you're gonna pay. Friends, Star. Seriously. We wiped out their whole village. No one's left for miles, Star. Go. The 7 men wasted no time, summoning their martial souls and spirit rings. There were 4 soul masters above level 10, 3 great soul masters above level 20. Their rings were all basic, 10-year white ones. Soul masters. They're all soul masters. To ordinary people, soul masters were beings to be avoided at all costs. The innkeeper wanted to tell them to take it outside, but he lacked the nerve. I could beat you without even using my martial soul. Xiao Wu was a force even without her martial soul. On top of being a soul sect, her grappling techniques were devastating. True to form, the 7 men were trounced. Xiao Wu broke a leg on each of them before tossing them out of the inn. Get lost. If I see you again, I'll break what's left. Xiao Wu had never killed anyone, nor did she intend to start now. The 7 men limped away in a panic, disappearing into the nearby woods. Seeing that Xiao Wu and the others weren't giving chase, they slumped to the ground, relieved. Today had been spectacularly unlucky. Then, a searing pain shot through their necks, and their heads rolled to the ground. Xiao Wu might have spared them, but Chowda had no such reservations. Traffickers couldn't be allowed to live, they'd only keep preying on others. Chowda had silently used his 4th soul skill, Space Blade. The invisible spatial blades could kill silently from up to 200 meters away, cutting through anything, even trees. The 7 men were well within range. He didn't tell Xiao Wu and the others. Better to let them stay innocent for now. They'd have plenty of time for harsh realities later. Here, boss. This should cover any damages, Ning Rongrong said, her pockets deep. They returned to their rooms. Inside, the 2 wooden crates sat, having been moved there by Chowda's space jump. He couldn't teleport non-bound living things into his captured space, only the crates and their occupants. Xiao Wu and the others opened the crates and woke the 2 women inside. Initially panicked, the women were overcome with gratitude after Xiao Wu and the others comforted them. Questioning revealed they were mother and daughter from a small village that had been wiped out by the 7 men. Out of 8 families, dozens of people, only they had survived. We should have killed them. They couldn't have gone far. Xiao Wu and the others were enraged. Chowda stopped them, relaying the situation. Don't bother. They're already dead. You took care of it? Ning Rongrong asked, surprised. Chowda nodded. You guys are too soft. I had to step in. Those traffickers were definitely not rookies, and it's impossible they hadn't killed before. Killing them was the right thing to do. Xiao Wu cheered. Good riddance. If I ever meet anyone like that again, I'm taking them out. The mother and daughter began to cry, not out of fear, but because their family and village had been avenged. They kowtowed to Chowda in gratitude. Though they had their revenge, their village was gone, their family gone, and now they were homeless. Let them travel with us for now, Ning Rongrong suggested. We can place them with our sect when we get back. Xiao Wu added, or we can take them to the academy. Might as well go all the way with the rescue. Leaving them to fend for themselves would only expose them to more traffickers. Women with mutations like theirs were likely valuable targets. Their mother and daughter were both rabbit spirits, a connection Xiao Wu felt and wanted to keep. Chowda had no objections to such a minor matter, especially since he'd started the whole thing. He couldn't just abandon them now. Chapter 39 Silves City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 women, a mother and daughter. The mom, Chenli, was in her early 30s, a level 5 soul master with a rabbit spirit. Awakening her spirit had given her a pair of rabbit ears. Her daughter, Mai Xiang, was 13, also with a rabbit spirit, but only at level 3. Her spirit awakening gave her a cute rabbit tail. Both mother and daughter were pretty and had good figures. My spirit's a rabbit too. No wonder I felt a connection, Xiao Wu said, chatting with them. See? I've got rabbit ears too. It's no big deal, and they look cool. Chenli and Mai Xiang looked at Xiao Wu's rabbit ears and nodded. Back in their village, they were always stared at. People gave them weird looks. Ning Rongrong, sitting nearby, smiled, watching the 3 of them. We're practically a rabbit warren. You guys are gorgeous and adorable. Zhu Zhuqing chimed in, totally, you look great. Chowda, looking glum, added, of course they're pretty. Why else would people kidnap them to sell them for a fortune? There are folks who are into that and willing to drop serious cash. All 5 women fixed him with a stare. Chowda suddenly realized he'd put his foot in it. Whoa, didn't mean anything by that. Just, carry on. I'll shut up. Ning Rongrong teased, Chowda, do you like Xiao Wu 'cause of her cute rabbit ears? Xiao Wu looked at Chowda, all wide-eyed and curious. Chowda defended himself, I like everything about Xiao Wu, rabbit ears included. Chenli blushed and instinctively touched her own rabbit ears. That's the right answer, Xiao Wu said, clearly pleased. Afterward, they ordered some food and booked a room for Chenli and Mai Xiang, 3 rooms in total. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing in one, and Xiao Wu and Chowda in another. That night, Chenli and Mai Xiang couldn't sleep. They'd been living in fear for days. Now that they were safe, they were lost, unsure of what to do. "Mom, Chow and his friends are really good people," Mai Xiang said. "I wish we could just stay with them." Chenli hugged her daughter. "If you want to stick around, you've gotta work hard. Be helpful, learn to do things, and make yourself useful. Then maybe they'll keep us." Mai Xiang nodded. "I will." That they talked for a long time, eventually drifting off to sleep. Even though they'd booked 3 rooms, Chowda and the others spent the night in the captured space villa, training and relaxing inside. The next morning, Chenli and Mai Xiang were up before dawn, waiting outside to see when Chowda and the others would wake up so they could help out and prove their worth. But to their surprise, they saw Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong all come out of Chowda's room. They'd all slept together. So, that's their relationship, Chenli thought. The bed can't be big enough for 4 people. Is it cramped? Mai Xiang wondered. The little girl, fresh from the village, didn't understand the situation, so her priorities were understandably different. As soon as Chowda and his group emerged, they ran into Chenli and Mai Xiang. Both of them were embarrassed, and Chowda and the others found it even harder to explain. If you can't explain it clearly, don't bother. Chowda figured. Ahem, let's grab some breakfast together, then head for Silves City. Chowda led them down to the lobby for breakfast. The innkeeper and staff noticed Chenli and Mai Xiang, who were strangers, but didn't ask too many questions. They weren't about to offend Chowda and his crew. After breakfast, they left the inn. Chenli asked, "Do you need help with the luggage?" Mai Xiang chimed in, "I'm strong. I can carry stuff." Ning Rongrong smiled. "We have a storage spirit tool. It can hold tons of things. But you two are probably out of clothes, so I'll pick you up some new ones when we get to Silves City." Chenli quickly protested, "Oh, no need." Zhu Zhuqing, understanding their hesitation, said, "Don't be shy. Just accept the help. You're in a tough spot right now. If you really want to repay us, just help out with whatever you can down the road." Chenli and Mai Xiang were touched. Xiao Wu added, "It's no big deal, seriously. Just relax and come along with us." Without a carriage or horses, they had to walk. Fortunately, they were all soul masters. Even though Chenli and Mai Xiang's soul power was low, they were still stronger than average folks. Before nightfall, they finally arrived in Silves City. They quickly found an inn to eat, shower, and rest. Zhu Zhuqing dug out a set of her clothes for Chenli, and Ning Rongrong found some for Mai Xiang. The shops were mostly closed, so they couldn't buy anything new. Besides, these were clothes Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing had outgrown. Now that they were growing, most of their clothes came from the captured space villa. The villa had a ton of clothes in all styles, including some interesting ones. They still booked 3 rooms, but Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing's rooms were empty, just a ruse. In reality, they all slept in the captured space villa at night. That night, Chenli and Mai Xiang were chatting again. Mai Xiang asked, "Mom, is Chow's bed like ours? It must be super cramped with 4 people. Should one of the sisters join us so it's not so crowded?" Bless her heart. Chenli patted her daughter's head and said, "Nah. They probably don't want to split up. Let's not intrude. Small bed, honey, please, Chenli was more concerned about whether Chowda's body could handle it all. The next day, although mother and daughter were up early again, they stayed in their room, afraid they'd bump into Chowda and the others again and make things awkward. "Chenli. Mai Xiang. You up? Breakfast's ready. Come eat with us." Xiao Wu knocked on their door. Chenli responded, "We're up. Be right there." They thought they'd be eating in the hotel lobby, but they were surprised to find that breakfast was in Chowda's room. Chowda claimed he'd borrowed the food from the inn's kitchen, but it had actually been prepared in the captured space villa and just brought out. If they hadn't been looking after the mother and daughter, Chowda and the others would have just eaten in the villa before coming out. "This is so good. Delicious. How can it be so tasty? I've never eaten anything like this." My Xiang was in heaven. Chenli was a bit more reserved, but the food was so amazing that she ate plenty. Ning Rongrong explained, these are special ingredients. If you eat them for a while, your stagnant soul power might start to grow. Of course, Chowda's cooking skills are top-notch, too. Regular folks don't get to taste this stuff. Chenli and my Xiang thanked them profusely. Chowda asked them, you guys want to hit the shops later? Xiao Wu said, definitely. It's my first time in Silves City, so I gotta see the sights and wander around. Ning Rongrong added, that's right. Otherwise, what's the point? Chenli, my Xiang, you're coming with us, and I'm getting you some new clothes. No arguments. With an offer like that, no one could refuse. Chowda escorted the 5 women shopping, and they were a real head-turner, especially Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Ning Rongrong, who were absolutely stunning. Move along. Chowda had to physically shoo away the gawkers. A casual flash of a black 10,000-year spirit ring was enough to scare most of them off. For now, the news about them from Soto City hadn't reached Silves City. Otherwise, things would have been even wilder. End of this chapter. Chapter 40 Ning Fengzhi, Chowda can be a son-in-law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 40, Ning Fengzhi might just have a son-in-law. Wow, this place is huge, and the houses are amazing. My Xiang was blown away. It was her first time in a city, especially a royal capital. Chenli wasn't doing much better. The biggest place she'd ever been to was the town closest to their village. Chowda and the gang headed to the most upscale clothing store in Silves City. The clothes were gorgeous, luxurious, top of the line, and, of course, incredibly expensive. Grab whatever you like. Don't worry about the cost. I'm so broke, all I have left is money. Ning Rongrong was feeling generous. Chowda joked, Rongrong, I might have to live off you from now on. Xiao Wu chimed in, me too, Rongrong. You gotta support me. I'm dirt poor. Ning Rongrong declared, no problem. I'll take care of you both. Chenli and my Xiang were speechless. Zhu Zhuqing just smiled and shook her head. They bought a ton of stuff, but luckily they had storage soul guides, or they never could have carried it all. It wasn't just clothes, either. They picked up jewelry, perfumes, cosmetics, anything that caught their eye. Chenli and my Xiang were each forced to buy more than a dozen outfits. They were in a daze, realizing the clothes and jewelry were probably worth enough to keep them comfortable in their village for the rest of their lives. They spent almost half a day in the store. By the time they left, it was already noon. As they were walking out, a ridiculously overdressed guy, surrounded by a bunch of yes-men, stopped them at the door. Hold it right there. The fancy dude ordered Chowda and his friends to halt. Chowda and the others totally ignored him and kept walking, but the guy's entourage ran over and blocked their path. Are you deaf? His Highness the 6th Prince told you to stop. Their reward was a face full of Chowda's fist, which sent several of them reeling, clutching their heads and howling. Insolent. Seize them. The fancy guy, the 6th Prince, was furious, except for an old guy standing beside him. Everyone went to grab Chowda and the others. Several of them were soul masters and showed off their soul rings, all soul sect level, thinking they could intimidate Chowda and his crew. They got a fist in the face too. Guess I'll give it a shot, one of the soul masters sneered. These nobodies are gonna fight a soul master. They're asking for it. Chowda and the others hadn't revealed their soul power, so the prince and his crew assumed they were ordinary people. They were wrong. Even if they hadn't been, they still would have been beaten. With Chowda's current strength, dealing with soul sects was no sweat. Especially since the other guys hadn't even used their martial souls or soul skills yet. A few swift punches from Chowda sent them sprawling, writhing in agony. What the? Are they soul masters? The 6th Prince was surprised. The old man next to him said, anyone who can take down a soul sect has to be a soul master, maybe even a soul king. But don't worry, 6th Prince. I'm a soul emperor. They won't get away. The old man was ready to step in. He began to release his martial soul as he walked. It was a lion. His soul rings were 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black. A pretty standard setup. Ning Rongrong commented, well, look at that. A soul emperor. Zhu Zhuqing said, didn't Chowda want to test himself against a soul emperor? Here's his chance. Xiao Wu cheered, go get him, bro. Show him no mercy. The three of them weren't worried at all. Chenli and Mai Xiang, though, had awakened their martial souls, but since they didn't have any soul rings, they weren't considered soul masters. They didn't know much about soul master stuff, so they were a little nervous. Ladies, it's an honor that the sixth prince has taken an interest in you. You can't escape. This is Silves City. The old man's tone was cold. Kid, hand them over. If the sixth prince is happy, he might give you a pile of gold soul coins and you'll be set for life. Maybe he'll even let them go once he's had his fun. Pfft. Xiao Wu spat. What a creep. Just because he's a prince doesn't mean he can bully people. Ning Rongrong was furious. Today, we're gonna turn this prince into a nobody. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes turned cold. Chowda didn't say a word, he just sprang into action. He vanished and reappeared behind the old man, hammering a fist into his back. There was a distinct crack as the old man's bones shattered. Breaking fist, empowered with space energy, shattered the old man's spine. Arg! With his back broken, the old man crumpled to the ground, howling in pain. He thought his soul emperor strength would let him crush Chowda, but Chowda had caught him by surprise with a sneak attack, ruining his spine and incapacitating him. Without a spine, the old man couldn't even stand, let alone use his martial soul or soul skills. What? The sixth prince was so scared his legs turned to jelly. Xiao Wu teleported over and delivered a well-aimed kick to the prince's privates with a waist bow. There was another sound of something breaking, and the sixth prince flew through the air, squealing like a stuck pig, before crashing to the ground unconscious. Nice one. Ning Rongrong praised. That kind of person deserves to be taken down so he can't hurt anyone else. Chenli and Mai Xiang were terrified. It was the first time they'd seen anything like this. The onlookers were also scared. They couldn't believe anyone would dare mess with the sixth prince. Let's go. Chowda came over, used his space jump soul skill, and vanished with his friends. They popped up in a deserted alley a mile away. Chowda's space jump could now cover a mile, and carry up to 10 people. Chenli and Mai Xiang were still reeling from their first taste of soul master power and magic. Zhu Zhuqing asked, are we going to leave? Abolishing the sixth prince was going to cause major problems if they stuck around. Ning Rongrong scoffed. What are you afraid of? We're not leaving. He's just a prince. Even a king wouldn't dare mess with us. Zhu Zhuqing countered, we can't rely on the sect every time. We have to learn to handle things ourselves. Ning Rongrong thought for a second and realized it made sense. Okay, unless it's absolutely necessary, we'll deal with stuff on our own. Xiao Wu chimed in, don't worry. With my brother around, we can always run if things get too hot. Chowda didn't want to leave so soon. Okay, let's find a place to get some disguises. We could even wear masks to avoid unnecessary trouble. Zhu Zhuqing agreed. Sounds good to me. Everyone agreed. They found a new inn, put on some makeup and masks, and Chowda teleported them out, leaving no trace. Then they found another inn and settled in. After that, it was back to shopping and having fun. Guards searched for them, but they just took off their masks, put on some makeup, and strolled around, eating, drinking, and enjoying themselves without being recognized. After a few days of playing tourist, they started training. Chowda, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong, and the others practiced in the space villa Chowda had captured. Chenli and Mai Xiang practiced in their hotel room. They didn't know how to train before and they couldn't. But now that they were eating the captured space ingredients and fruits every day, their bodies were getting stronger, and they were starting to train. It was slow, but it was progress, and they practiced hard. They wanted to become real soul masters and gain the power to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the disciples from the Seven Treasure Glazed Tiles sect who were in Suatua City returned to report on Chowda and Ning Rongrong. After hearing what happened with Chowda, Douluo could hardly believe it. What? Is that really the Chowda we know? Sword Douluo was shocked. His first soul ring was a 10,000-year one, and his third was a 10-year. Is he some kind of monster? After getting over his surprise, Ning Fengzhi's mind raced. If Xiao De joined the Seven Treasure Glazed Tiles sect and stayed with Rong, the sect would be set for generations. So what if Xiao De was a monster? A monster like that could shake the Soul Master world. End of this chapter.